What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy.
I'm Mike Murphy.
We are the Brothers Murph, and this is the best of BGG.
April 2021. That's right, it's time for Best of Board Game Geek, a monthly video where we talk about some of the cool things that were going on Board Game Geek.
Yeah, we'll go over some news, we'll go over the hottest games of the month, the most played games of the month, and also some cool picks from us of stuff that we saw in BGG that we thought was really, really cool.
Absolutely, so let's go ahead and start off with the Board Game Geek news.
So in store news, we have a new shipment of Geek Up bits. Everyone loves Geek Up bits. We have some for Yellow and Yangtze. We have some for It's a Wonderful World, Dice Throne Season 1. We have some for Tapestry. So that's really, really exciting. So keep an eye out for those. We also have the Geek Game Shop, has a ton of awesome games. And you can pre-order the new crew, the Mission Deep Sea, which I'm so excited for. I love the crew and I just want more crew and I'm really excited about it. And of course, we have new promos, including this one, the Suzerain for the West Kingdom trilogy. And I feel like I know that guy.
So the Golden Geek Awards have happened and the results are in for all of the best games of the year, and best two-player game went to Undaunted North Africa. We have best card game going to Dune Imperium. Light game of the year went to Micro Macro Crime City, while medium game of the year went to Lost Ruins of Arnak, and then heavy game of the year and also cooperative game of the year went to Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. There was even a category for best podcast, and I happen to be on a podcast that was nominated. This Game is Broken. And after the results came in, we were runner-up. So, you can't cry again, Mike. No, we're just kidding. We're so very happy for So Very Wrong About Games. Now just remember with the Golden Geek Awards, these are something that are created and voted on by you, the users of Board Game Geek. So if there's a game that you really wish gets some recognition, make sure to nominate it next year and vote for it to win all these different cool game categories.
And that's it for the news, but let's get into some of the hottest games of the month. So we're gonna go over to the table, talk about the hot games of April. All right, it is time for the hotness. So Mikey, how do we make the hotness list?
We make the hotness list by you making the hotness list. Basically, the games that are gonna show up on the hotness are the games that were talked about the most,
Yes.
the ones that appeared on the hotness for the longest, appeared up on the highest on the
Yes.
hotness list,
So
and
it's
that's
a couple
gonna
of
generate
different
the list.
things all put into it. So if someone was on the number one for one day and then
It
went down to
might
30,
not show up, it
it's
might be
probably not
low.
gonna show up on the list.
Right.
So yeah, let's go ahead and get number 10.
So the number 10 most captivating game of the month was Red Rising by Stonemaier Games. This game was
getting
on
people's
pre-order
hands,
a month or so ago, and then it arrived, including our hands, just at the end of April. And this is a card-playing game based on the Red Rising book series.
It's a really good book series.
That I think has generated some buzz because Stonemaier just generates buzz generally, and now that the game is out, people are finally getting a chance to play, so that's why it's number 10.
Number 9 is going to be a new addition to the game. This is Galaxy Trucker. Galaxy Trucker is getting a new updated version from 2007, was the original by Vlaada, Chvátil. Really fun, chaotic game where you're building a ship and then it just gets destroyed. It's really, really fun. But it's coming out, it's got some new art, it's got some new tiles, and it's a streamlined version now where you're only going through one flight. You can still do the big 3-flight one that's like a variant in the game, but it's a little bit more streamlined. They've tweaked some cards, tweaked some rules, I believe, and like an updated version of Galaxy Trucker, like I'm in. That sounds great.
Super down for that.
Yeah, so that's number 9.
Number 8 is kind of a perennial hotness game,
here a lot.
but it also had a big box and new expansion Kickstarter that went recently. It's Everdell.
Yeah.
Everdell is always popular because it's a beautiful game about woodland critters who are creating a town under the great Ever Tree in the Valley of Everdell. And so this game is always going to do well, but the new Kickstarter introduced 2 new expansions.
Yeah.
You could also get the old expansions and
the
all
big
put it
box.
into a big box with deluxe upgrades and components and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's generally going to generate some buzz.
Yeah, it's got a little staying power.
Yeah, so Everdell is number 8.
Talking about big boxes, number 7 is Terraforming Mars, which also had a Kickstarter for a big box. And this is a big box that had like cool 3D tiles and all this kind of stuff. And Terraforming Mars, again, kind of like Mike said, a perennial, always on the hotness list. Because it's Terraforming Mars, one of the most popular games in the last 10 years.
Yes.
You know, it's in the top 10 games of all time.
Right.
People love it. And then people have been wanting like a really deluxe version for a long time.
Nice storage solution for the whole game.
Yeah, and so now they gave it to him, and so yeah, it's here, and Terraforming Mars is great. It's one of the best games out there. We absolutely adore it, and yeah, we didn't back this one, but I was just like,
A friend of ours did, and I was like, that looks pretty sweet.
And it just got into people's hands too, so that's why people were just like, ooh, Terraforming Mars. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Number 6 is from the king of world building himself, Ryan Laukat. It's Sleeping Gods.
I also didn't back this one.
I know, we should have. This is a fantastic cooperative kind of storytelling adventure exploration game.
It kind of took like the expansion of Near and Far that made it cooperative.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, now this is a kind of a whole game that's like that.
Right. Ryan Laukat's known for creating, he has just a really interesting art style in addition to designing games. And it creates these awesome, colorful, fun worlds. And so Sleeping Gods is a big sandbox game where it's really about just finding the nooks and crannies of that world, kind of telling the story you want to tell, exploring what's interesting to you. It seems really great.
Yeah. And it's been on the hotness for a couple months now, just basically constantly, because it's in people's hands and people are playing it like crazy.
It looks so good.
And yeah, it looks real cool.
That's why it's number 6.
Number 5 is a game that, again, has been here for a little while now, and that is Dune Imperium. This just won Best Card Game of the Year on the Golden Geeks. People love Dune Imperium. It's just, people are talking about it constantly. It's always being talked about. People are always looking up rules, looking up stuff. It's just always getting clicked on at BoardGameGeek, and people absolutely love it. You've played the game, you liked it.
It's fantastic. Great blend of worker placement and deck building in a really
I really
want
to try it. Yeah.
Using a cool IP, good
And this is a game where I think people are around for the IP, but there's a lot of people who are just like, I've just heard this game is great, and I just want to play it, because I've never read or watched Dune.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy the game even so.
Yeah, exactly. So I really want to play it, but that's why it's number 5, because it's hot.
Number 4 is likely to show up at any given time because it's Marvel Champions.
People who like Marvel Champions like Marvel Champions.
And it's quite good. I quite like Marvel Champions. I don't own it myself.
I really want to play it, yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic card game all about your favorite Marvel superheroes. And they have to flip between their alter ego and their superhero side and everything. So there's a lot to love. And Fantasy Flight supports it really well, where there's always new content. Always new content. An announcement about a new pack, a release of a new pack. So this game is going to be hot for quite some time.
Always looking up stuff about it.
Absolutely. That's why it's number 4.
Number 3 is another Marvel game, and this is Marvel United. Now, Marvel United, the original, is actually back on Kickstarter with the X-Men set now, which I'm sure will be on the hotness next month. But the original was here because it was hitting people's hands, and right when it was hitting people's hands, that's when they dropped the next Kickstarter, which is a very smart marketing way of doing that.
And in the new Kickstarter, you can buy all the old stuff for Marvel United that you couldn't get before.
But this is a game we actually just played this weekend, and it's really, really fun. I like it a lot, and it's, again, I really love the chibi minis. Are really, really cool, and it's just a very quick, simple, cooperative game that really is honestly very good. And I think this is going to be a game that's got a lot of staying power because it's really, really good. And then there's just so much content for it. It's staggering. But yeah, Marvel United is probably going to be here for a little bit.
So number 2 is Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Best game of last year.
Nick's favorite game from last year. It
used to be his.
So good. I know, well, yeah, but it's fine. It's so good. It's such a good game. We think Lost Ruins of Arnak has jumped up because it recently hit in beta form. There's a version you can play on BoardGameArena.com.
Which is really good.
It's really good. It takes a game and makes it perfectly well implemented, keeps the game quick.
And people
now people have access to it. If they don't physically have the game or can't physically get together with people, they have a way to play Lost Ruins of Arnak. And so it has jumped up in the hotness as a result of its accessibility.
Good digital implementations of games do. That's one thing about, like, obviously a lot of people are playing digital stuff because of COVID, and that's not great. But one thing that has been a silver lining of it is kind of the rise of like digital board games and being able to play games on Board Game Arena, Tabletopia. It's been so cool. And a lot of them are really great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Lost Ruins of Arnak is no exception to that. It's great, and that's why it's number 2.
And number 1 is a game that's been hitting people's hands, and that is Oath. Oath is the next game in the kind of Root series in terms of that world, not in terms of similar
art style.
Yeah, but this is a campaign game where you can play a campaign with multiple different people. People can kind of come in and out, and the decisions you're making in this game really matter because it will change stuff for the later games. Seems really, really cool. I love that world. I love that art style. And this is a game I would love to try at some point. And it's not so you can kind of jump in and out because it means it's not like a legacy game where you're kind of like, you want to play with the same people if you can. This one, it seems like you can be more flexible with it. But Oath is number 1. It's hitting people's hands. People are super hot on it. Leader Games always comes out with great stuff. And that's why it's number 1. That is the number 1 hottest game of April. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. And in fact, it's crazy that you can pre-order it right here in BoardGameGeek from the Geek Game Shop.
That's right.
Yeah, you can get your copy of Oath today. Well, you can order it for later, but today, you can do it today.
Okay, so quickly after the hot games, we want to go into the most played games. So you can actually find out what are the most played games on BGG for this month. When people log, now granted, we will say this is only people who are logging their plays on BGG.
Of course, it's never going to be fully accurate, but it gives an idea.
But it gives an idea, and a lot of it's pretty instant. We're going to quickly go through it. Number 10 is Gloomhaven. Makes sense, it's Gloomhaven, right? Gloomhaven is always on the hotness, always everywhere. With 5,243 plays, which is pretty cool. We got My City, which is a really, really fun legacy game that's quick too. So that's why it's probably on here with 5,464 plays. Then we have Seven Wonders Duel, 5,714. Again, quick, easy, two-player, a lot of two-player games.
Now a print and play solo version for that.
That's right. I really want to try it. Then we have Magic the Gathering with 5,959 plays. I'm not going to lie, Magic the Gathering is probably number one.
Probably always. Just assume that
Always
whatever we're
*1.
talking about, Magic is always more
But
than
this is
that.
in terms of people who have logged their plays.
Right.
So that's it. And then we have Lost Ruins of Arnak, which has, 5,959. That's because of BGA. I'll straight up say that's because of
You
BGA.
can play that game pretty quick.
We have Marvel United with 6,144. Again, makes sense. Terraforming Mars is probably always going to be on the list with 6,497. Then we take a pretty big bump in plays. We go to Wingspan, which I think will always probably be on the list. People love Wingspan. There's so many copies out there. It's really amazing. With 8,259. So you have almost a 2,000 jump. But then we're going to really jump. We're going to jump up by 5,000 because number 2 is The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9 with 13,564. So that's a 5,000 play jump.
To be fair, you can play a game of The Crew in like
Very
2
quick.
minutes, but that is still a lot of plays.
And you know what's crazy is there's one that's above it, and that is Marvel Champions, because people love Marvel Champions with 13,663 logged plays. But here's the thing about this one. That is 13,663 plays. And the people, it has unique users. So this unique people who logged that play is 1902.
Which I think
so
we did the math.
1,902
Right.
played 13,000 times. We did the math.
average of 7 plays per person this month, which is not insignificant.
That is nuts. Y'all be loving Marvel Champions, and I love you for it. That's awesome. So those are the most played games. Also, so log your games on BGG, because then it might help other things show up on the list.
So that's not all that's on Board Game Geek. There are so many things. There's forum posts, geek lists, and more. So what we're going to do is show you a couple of our picks of things that we really enjoyed seeing on Board Game Geek this month. So my pick of the month is a geek list that's it's a series of geek lists, really. They've been dominating Board Game Geek for the last couple of months, and it's the Geek Madness Tournament, a bracket-style tournament where they pair off many different board games and sort of duke it out, and people can vote on which game they like better until we whittle all the way down to a final, which is where we find ourselves today. We have the entire Pandemic series versus the juggernaut that is Terraforming Mars. And people are actively voting right now on which game they think reigns supreme and deserves the Geek Certified Aldi Award. So make sure you get your bets into the bookies in Vegas, because Terraforming Mars has won the Geek Madness Tournament 2 years in a row now, and they are on pace to do it again. But if you want to pull the upset, make sure you go and vote for the Pandemic series and see what the results are after May 10th. You can still vote up until that time, and then we will see which is truly unmatched in board games.
So if you don't know, there are a ton of images on BGG. People put up their own images of them and their families playing games, or publishers put up promo images, and you can find these in the community tab and search by hot and find the hottest images out there. And this month they have been dominated by the game Hidden Leaders, which will be coming out in 2022. This game has really, really cool art by Satoshi Matsura, and it's just very stylized and beautiful. And this card particularly, these sets of cards right here, were just the top image, is absolutely the top image. And I really, really like it. I really like this kind of stylized art, and I really see why this is number one. And I also really like the idea of just like an unconfident executioner. Like a Mystic Mummy is great, but an unconfident executioner is just funny. Just being like, am I a bad person? Like, I'm just doing a job, but. So the last thing we want to do is personally talk about our personal favorite games of the month. Like, what's your favorite game that you played this whole month?
My favorite thing that I played was Red Rising. This game released and got into people's hands, including ours, in April.
It's a fun little card game.
It's a fun little card game, one that I'm like, I haven't played a card game quite like this before, and it's based off of a book series that we quite enjoy.
It's true.
And the art's awesome, so Red Rising is my pick. What about you?
My favorite game of the month was actually also based, it wasn't based on a book, but it's based around books, and that was Ex Libris. I played solo Ex Libris on a stream, and I was reminded yet again why Ex Libris is my favorite solo game.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it solo, and I was just like, I love this game so much. So Ex Libris is a game, you're building out a library, and it's good multiplayer, but I honestly prefer it solo. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. And so yeah, that was my favorite game of the month.
Hey, new or old?
Without you.
That's what it was.
That's without him.
Because I wasn't there.
Without this guy.
I was doing jury duty at the time.
That's true, you were.
So that's it for Best of Board Game Geek this month. Let us know in the comments what was something that you really enjoyed this month.
A part of Board Game Geek that you like, that you want to see us cover, something like that. Yeah.
Something, a new hot game you heard about. Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, that's been the Best of Board Game Geek.
And we'll see you next month.